Hi guys, Joe here. Just checking my microphone's plugged in. Hope you're all doing well. I sat on a Jason's from Archaics live last night all about the 2022 and the 2023 predictions, and he has kindly written it all down and put it on his Podia website and allowing people to access it for free. So I'm going to read it. I'm going to link in the description the link to the PDF on his Podia site, and I'm going to link the video down below. Hopefully mine will be a quicker video. His was 2.5 hours long, as Jason's videos tend to turn out. So here we go. Let's go to his predictions. So 2022 to 2023 predictions report. Archaics, September the 30th, 2022. Archaics, Advanced Research of Chronological History of Artificial Intelligence X, Jason Breshears. For examples of over 200 isometric projections of events, see predictions playlist of my published books, and I will actually link his predictions playlist in the comments below. Time-space is structured in palindromes. Events are a part of an ever-unfolded construct, and many of these events are equidistant from prior events that are so similar in nature the two events are distinct not in concept but in occurrence. Many of the following events have already been fulfilled, and some at varying degrees, while others are slowly developing into fulfillment and more are still waiting to be fulfilled. There will also be some that will never be fulfilled, as the phenomena they are attached to are absorbed into events that do transpire. Despite this lack of perfect predictability, the structuring is still available as a method of event prediction. I've never claimed 100% accuracy, and if that standard was necessary, then no one would ever take risks like I do in the publicising of my output. I don't fear criticism because the phenomenon is now too well documented. There is a calendrical overlap that needs to be addressed. The names of the months after a 10-month calendar, because the Romans added 2 more months and tucked them in after February. This is why September, October, November and December are the Roman months for 7, 8, 9 and 10. But those months today are 9, 10, 11 and 12. This means when we search for events, they can unfold in January and February and still be the year 2022. It's an overlap, and over we find it must be considered. Now I'll just from what I understand that to be, is over the years, as resets have occurred, calendars have changed. So the time that we are in now may not even be the time that we perceive it to be. The age that we are may not even be the age that we perceive ourselves to be. And as I iterate in many other videos, our whole history has been a lie. We've been deceived from birth to our passing. But anyway, I don't want to get on a tangent, so I shall carry on with Jason's work. Past events shown in palindromic patterns. SpaceX launched disaster explosion. 2 astronauts killed. Same day, SpaceX Starship prototype SM-4 at Boca exploded. Both launched the same day. Fences around Washington, D.C. Trucker convoys. Hundreds of YouTube doomsayers on new normal about whole population being forced to take the jab, forced to wear face diaper, forced to stay locked down. Jason predicted just the opposite, that at the beginning of 2022 all would return to normal over most of the world. Now, I know there's still grumblings of what kicked all this off and kicked a lot of us off into the research that we've gone into back in 2020. There are still rumblings on it, but for the whole, it's kind of disappeared out of the public domain, and other things have filtered in. So 623 days ago, predictions made January the 15th, 2021. A week and a half after Trump was removed from office, almost 21 months ago. And I just want to talk about the SpaceX launch there. Now, I don't watch the news and I don't keep up with current events. Well, a lot of what he's talking about in here, I actually have no idea of that they actually occurred. I stopped watching the news years and years ago, and I've really been ignorant to what's going on in the world, because I recognise that a lot of it was just there to keep us in a fear state of mind and keep our vibrations low. It was actually an episode of EastEnders where I sat there and I got up and I said to myself, I actually feel really depressed now, and I never watched it since, and I threw my TV out about 10 years ago. So a lot of the things that he's talking about here, I didn't actually know had occurred. So the SpaceX launch disaster, he predicted that an explosion with 2 astronauts would be killed. And he said in his video last night that that didn't actually happen. And he was scratching his head because he didn't understand why it hadn't happened, because it was in his predictions, it was in the isometric, it was the mirror of a previous occurrence. What he didn't know at the time, and what he later found out, that SpaceX Starship prototype SM-4 at Boca exploded, killing 2 astronauts. So although he didn't predict the one that was in the news exploding and the astronauts being killed, one actually did happen. So I just wanted to clarify that there. So back to the predictions made January the 15th of 2021. So Texas will begin enacting policies and laws contrary to federal policies and actions. Diplomatic relations problems between Mexico and the USA will emerge. Inexplicable I can't say the word. Inexplicable fires will erupt across communities in the USA and some in Canada. Texas, discussions on separating from federal-controlled USA. Now, I just want to go back to the fires. I think last night in his video, his predictions video, he talks about California fires and how he believed that it was a direct energy weapon attack, because apparently there were houses and cars that were completely demolished, yet nature, bushes and trees were completely untouched. Now, if there's a fire, how on earth can bushes and trees be completely untouched? And I just want to touch on that for a second. When I was researching 911, I came across a documentary called What Happened to the Towers by a Dr. Judy Wood. And she was talking about how these tires just literally completely turned to dust, and how could that have been? And there was a chemical or a substance, whatever you want to call it, an explosive called thermite. And this chemical, thermite, is hammering it down outside. It doesn't touch trees. So when she did this documentary, she showed footage of cars that were on fire and buildings that were on fire in New York, yet there were trees that were untouched. And again, she commented on the phenomena of why was this. So again, I just wanted to add that in there. So Texas, discussions are separating from federal controlled USA. Texas arises to power in USA as population shifts, companies relocate to Texas. US population experiences a new patriot movement, pro-America sentiment. A lot of us will know what that is. I'm assuming it's Q. I got on the whole Q bandwagon back in 2020. It didn't take me long, however, to realise that it was just a psyop. But anyway, I digress. President Trump, after leaving office, will remain in public eye and continue in some form of American politics. American president will be removed shortly before or after taking office. A member of German descendant Trump family will rise to power. An assassination attempt on a new US leader. The USA and Russia will enter a major agreement. Opposition party leader in USA is arrested. Those blamed for USA's decline and decadence will be removed from power. Political opposition to new US administration ceases. US population adores new leader. US officials take over liberal leftist new agencies. Outside the USA, there are still leftist liberal media spinning false narratives about what is happening in USA and other Western nations. Zionist-controlled media networks will campaign worldwide to convince the world that USA is new Nazi empire. US-Canadian relations with China become estranged. US relationship with the Vatican estranged. USA becomes isolationist, internalizes its wealth and focuses on internal problems. Economic restructuring of USA brings relief to prospective homeowners and farmers. US enacts a new minimum wage that is actually received well by the people. Huge growth in employment in USA. New American economic system benefits the people and brings much relief, spreads to other nations closely allied. USA embarks on a major infrastructure rebuilding and updating campaign. USA will undergo complete restructuring of USA will bring back its economic superpower status. Now, I think these predictions were done back in January. I think some are still to come to pass. And again, a lot of it's in the USA at the moment, but he does touch on other countries further down. Excuse me, need a drink. This restructuring will also involve a massive overhaul against the media news agencies that have dealt treacherously against the USA and its people. Widespread banning of democratic, socialist and communist media venues. USA will exit the United Nations. Anti-Semitist will erupt as Jewish conspiracies are widely publicised. So, 485 days ago, predictions made June the 2nd, 2021, over 16 months ago. When using my date calculator, I found to my surprise this second predictions video was posted to my channel exactly 138 days after the earlier January 15th video. Now, of course, 138 is a prominent number with Jason because of the Phoenix coming every 138 years. So again, I just wanted to clarify that. So the CIA comes under investigation. The FBI is accused of anti-American activities. The CIA leader administrator will be killed outside the US borders in a foreign country. New York to be in news as needing a federal bailout. In China, a dam collapse occurs, killing many, and is covered up in media blackout event. In China, a storm will result in failure of dozens of dams, resulting in widespread infrastructure damage. I think that's already happened, the dam collapsing, I think. As I said, I don't really pay much attention to worldwide news. Reports of several child trafficking operations caught will be publicised. I know that happened. The elite are creating the illusion of victory, allowing for their puppets to be taken down. Yet, again, a lot of us are aware of the reason for that, to bring in the one world government. Through staged events, the elite will provide relief to populations of many nations to steer them toward a hidden agenda. 439 days ago, predictions made July 19th, 2021, over 14 months ago. A possibly ICBM nuclear exchange or threat involving the US in 2022. We know there's been rumblings about that. A publicised increase in UFO sightings in 2022, major push by MSM to normalise UFO activity. Now, he states there, a lot of us have talked about Project Bluebeam, and what Project Bluebeam is a fake alien invasion. And in 2023, some of you may have seen my September 23rd video, the predictions, and there was a lot of rumblings about something big was going to happen on the 23rd, 24th of September this year. Jason actually says it's more likely going to be next year, because he believes it's September 2023, not the actual day of the 23rd. And the whole bringing in of the UFO sightings is we're going to have a false Carrington event in September of 2023. It's going to bring down the whole infrastructure of the internet, and it's going to be blamed on the aliens invasion. We shall see. And a lot of sites will be taken down, and there will be restrictions put on many not allowing them access on the internet. But anyway, again, we shall see. We've got a lot of preparations to know what's going to happen before September 23. US President removed midterm in 2022. A change in the government in China in 2022. A major change in NBC or NBC broadcasting ownership or major NBC incident in 2022. Gold and silver hit record highs in 2022. US media will broadcast about major US presidential corruption in 2022. A new monetary system will begin or be announced in 2022. And what he did actually say there is that just because it's announced doesn't mean to say it's going to come into fruition, because he believes there's going to be a lot of kickback with it. And a lot of us in this movement, we've all heard about the central bank digital currencies. They want to obliterate cash and they want to take us into a digital currency, which will be programmable money, and that'll basically enslave us 100%. Highly viewed death of member of US media seen on live broadcast in 2022. Now I think from memory, that's the live suicide. Highly viewed death of member of US media seen on live broadcast in 2022. Yep, that's a suicide, and I have touched on this in another video, and it triggered a memory of mine of when I actually watched a film years ago, and I can't for the life of me remember what this film was called, and it was about a reality TV show that was broadcasting people who wanted to take their own lives on live TV. And I tried to find the film last night, but I couldn't find it. But what I did find was, and I should have kept it, but I'm not going to disturb and make this video longer than it needs to be. In 1974, a journalist actually committed suicide on live TV. And the whole of 2022 prediction is based on 1974. There's a lot of mirrors with what happened in 1974, and again, if you've gone back and had a look at my isometric predictions and what they actually are, I did a very, very brief explanation from my understanding of what they actually are, and they're basically mirroring events. So you have an epicenter year and you go forward X amount of years, you go back X amount of years, and you will find mirroring events. And I just found it really interesting that in my search last night I did find out that a journalist did commit suicide, and I said I can't remember her name, and I'm not going to go and disrupt this. I might put it in the description at the bottom. US officials force a famous actor or actress to leave the US in 2022. A major bank operating in the US will collapse in 2022. He believes that's going to be Goldman Sachs. I think he said Goldman Sachs. US files or announces antitrust suits against big tech monopolies in 2022. US enacts legislation to project retirement benefits in 2022. Now, the big tech monopolies, the legal suits against them, I did see things about that on my own newsfeed, with Zuckerberg in court for censorship. So again, we shall see. 412 days ago, predictions made August 15, 2021, 13 and a half months ago. Not we will see with that one. It did actually happen. Zuckerberg was taken to court, or we're led to believe he was taken to court. China loses military industrial contracts with other nations due to natural disasters, flooding. Democratic US Supreme Court justice will retire. Disaster in India, a mine incident. Member of United Nations will shock General Assembly with accusations of corruption. Joint US-Russia weather weapons and weather modifications technology used in concert. I'm trying to think if that's actually happened. Can't think. New evidence of President Kennedy assassination released in public. And everybody's talking about the age of Aquarius being the age of revealing. So a lot of things are being revealed, but don't be fooled into thinking that it's a win. It's all design. It's all by design. It's all a guise. Everything's coded, and everything that's playing out is meant to be playing out, whether we like it or not. US President removed from office midterm 2022. Major investigation of a New York City bank. Anti-abortion program will lose 100% of its funding, perhaps no longer needed due to Supreme Court ruling. Now, I know that has actually happened. I've seen that. Was it the Wade against Roe ruling? And what he's saying, people are thinking that's a win for the people. But what he's saying is that it's going to go completely rightist. Is it rightist? Where basically rights and freedoms are going to be stripped from the people. So although a lot of people will see that as a win, it's basically taking women's rights away of what they can choose to do with their body, which can open doors for other things. And those of us who don't want certain things in their body, you know where I'm going with that. So, UN building in New York is abandoned. Supreme Court addresses new election law. Britain's health organisation comes under investigation. Now, again, anybody who's been following me, anybody who's been following Michael Obanisha, anybody who's been following the Midazolam case will know that Michael Obanisha in 2020 filed a private criminal prosecution against certain members of the Gov. And there was a chap who did a lot of investigation into the Midazolam cases, and they filed a lot of evidence against the health organisation, the NHS basically, in this country. So it will be very interesting because as yet, nothing has actually transpired from that, but it will be interesting that it's come up in his predictions. It will be interesting to see what happens going forward. So new law enforcement groups started to combat corporate crime, big tech. 1 or 2 attempts to assassinate the US president. Zionism is officially recognised as racism. SCC imposes unpopular restrictions on trading. US Senate to pass a banking reform bill. It's hard work reading this. 352 days ago, predictions made on October the 15th, 2021, less than 12 months ago. Blanket censorship of big tech is going to be stopped, curtailing of the power of big tech in 2022. Now, I remember that happening. There was, again, a lot of grumblings around Zuckerberg. Yeah, so I'm not going to repeat myself. US president removed from office in 2022 does not mean Trump is returning to office. Major shift in mainstream media viewership to alternative media increases. And again, this year, there's been a lot of grumblings at how the BBC, another big mainstream, have been losing a lot of viewership because people are seeing it. People are seeing that there's a lot of BS out there and a lot of lies. 253 days ago, predictions made January the 21st, 2022. Major shift in the political affiliation of Democrats in America will have millions embrace the Republican Party in 2022. Majority of population loses faith in media narratives and embraces fact of fake news. Massive loss of viewers in 2022. Again, that's a repeat of what I've just said. US government target big tech companies to break them up in 2022. Big tech monopolies will begin changing their names and losing legal fights with US government in 2022. As we know, Facebook is trying to rename itself, well not trying to, is renaming itself as Metaverse. Rise of nationalists in China against the Chinese Communist government in 2022. And again, he said in his video last night, and he said in previous videos, that he believes that communism in China is dead, done, dusted, and it's going to nationalism. Is that a good thing? Who knows? I don't know. Deep State will remove some of their puppets from being leaders of nations in 2022. Conspiracy of the sea, the virus, will be widely publicised in 2022. Major report will circulate that climate change is a hoax in 2022. Can't wait for that one. Publicised kidnapping, but it'll be a false flag event staged in 2022. Don't think that's happened yet. Again, if you pick up on any of these things, then please comment and let me know if these things have actually happened. Because as I said, I don't really follow a lot of what's going on. I kind of put it all to bed the middle of this year because I got tired of all the BS. Commercial jet with hundreds on board crashes, but this is staged. I remember something like that. Sure that happened. Again, please comment and remind me of what that was. 2 or 3 nations have their governments removed in military coups. Televised event watched by many when suddenly someone on screen commits suicide in 2022. That's what I was talking about, what I researched that happened in 1974, a journalist, and I will pop her name. It's on Wikipedia, so you can find it out. I will pop it in the comments below. A Canadian leader will be removed from office in 2022. New push to produce oil in the US in 2022. US enforces new voting laws in 2022. US government will file antitrust suits to break up tech giants. Many globalist-backed leaders are removed from office in 2022. A US general is catapulted into position of international leadership in 2022. Russia detonates a WMD in 2022. I'm not sure what that is. A weapon of mass destruction in 2022. Plans for a new financial system will be widely publicised. Nuclear scare event involving several countries in 2022. Major push by media to push alien invasion scenario. Massive flooding in Australia. We know that definitely happened. And Tom Barnett, another one who I do follow, he was in the middle of it all. So 100% I know that wasn't a media hoax. A member of the royal family will die. This event was predicted 231 days before it happened, and we know what happened there. US becoming an oil producer will catapult the Middle East into panic and war involving Israel. False Carrington event, EMP, X-Flare, AI takeover of defensive takedown of the internet is in playbook, even blaming AI on being an alien program. And again, he says at the False Carrington event, he believes it's going to be in September of 2023. So these predictions are the end of this year and 2023. I know there's been a lot of talk as well, just talking about the False Carrington event, the X-Flares, the EMP attack, about the grand solar minimum where the sun goes into hibernation and is actually giving off solar flares. So maybe that has something to do with it. And he just missed my question. He just ended before, and I asked my question last night, what he thought about the grand solar minimum. But it's possibly something to do with that. World Economic Forum has lost power and their agendas have no more power. Reign of Davos is ended. We all want that to happen, but does this mean that this is all over? Putin is making power moves against the deep state globalists. We know that to be happening. Many nations will adopt nationalist strategies and focus on their culture and countries, truly a weakening of globalist power structure. The European Union and the United Nations will lose power. Border dispute concerning an island or islands will be settled in Canada's favour in 2022. Canada, major financial institution forced to break up in 2022. Canada, a vote of no confidence in Parliament will result in a sudden election in 2022. Canada, Trudeau's party removed in 2022. And again, there was a Trudeau that reigned over Canada back in 1974. Just to add that in there for those of you who haven't watched my previous predictions video. Canada, a state in Canada will change the language of the court from French to English. Canada, new election reform bill introduced that limits campaign contributions. Canada, movement to decriminalise drugs. Canada, scandal will be published concerning Quebec's construction industry. Canada, a hard freeze will kill about a dozen people and damage infrastructure. That did happen. Canada, avalanche of 2 will result in fatalities. Canada, banking institutions come under federal investigation. the rest of Canada until I say otherwise. Jewish population will come under heightened scrutiny, possible evacuation. More than 3 Liberal leaders will announce their resignations, one being a senator. A freak windstorm or tornado makes major headlines. A bank's assets will be seized by the Canadian government. A major agreement concerning timber mutually benefits Canada and the US. Conservative leaders will assume power. A Liberal holdout state will threaten to secede, but the resistance will be quelled. 239 days ago, prediction made February the 4th, 2022. Trump returns to power in America, but not as president. 236 days ago, predictions made on February the 7th, 2022. These are all Australia. Evidence will surface from October to November that Australia will begin rising as a superpower. It will take years. China is no longer a threat by the end of 2022. The government makes demands of banks that are accused of illegal practices. Australian military will join those of an ally in overseas operation. By the end of 22, living conditions in the country will be improved. Prediction made in middle of C lockdowns. Steel production and other national resources will begin an upswing. Wettest in 50 years, record rainfall and flooding. We've already touched on that one. Corruption of high-ranking judicial official exposed by the media. Many Liberals in elections will be voted out. Unexpected resignation of member of House of Representatives will come as a surprise. Government will enact reforms to attract foreign businesses to Australia. Major industrial dispute will be widely reported linked to mining or uranium mining. Overseas nuclear threat or detonation results in Australia publicly condemning incident and ending relations with perpetrator. Thailand. Due to overseas events, a movement in Thailand will start to change its own constitution. Due to events in China, there will be peace in Thailand through 2022. Dominican Republic. Overall peace and normality through 2022. Again, the Dominican Republic. A demonstration gets out of control and results in fatalities. 218 days ago, prediction made February 25th, 2022. These were all Switzerland. There was actually somebody who paid Jason a lot of money to do predictions for Switzerland. So this is why he did focus on Switzerland in this particular. I think it turned out to be a Russian guy, but anyway, that's on that. I've got that from what Jason said in his videos. Switzerland. Free trade agreement with EU ends or is fundamentally changed in 2023. Collapse of major bank chain or a change is a type of banking method of banking changes. You get the drift. It's the way he's written it. The WEF will suffer problems in 2023 by other nations acting against the WEF. Events abroad will affect partners of the WEF and programs funded by WEF. WEF power ends in 2023. Now, Jason's been saying all along that this whole Agenda 2030 is just a smokescreen for something else. So, again, what he's predicting there is that WEF power ends in 2023. What that means in the bigger grand scheme of things, who knows? Removal of liberals, socialists in US is followed by removal of globalist leaders in many nations, has Switzerland on high alert in 2022 to 2023. 2023 anti-papal sentiment builds. A group of nations have entered a secret compact to unify their efforts to overthrow the WEF. Other banks will induce government to enact bank reforms that appear to protect the public but actually protect the banks. Major bank in Switzerland will be implicated in a conspiracy, fraud, probably Goldman Sachs. Spirit of nationalism arises. 180 days ago, prediction made April the 4th, 2022. US will remove socialists from office. 2023 stage blackouts of infrastructure and communications. And again, he's touched on that, and he believes it's going to be September 23. 2023, staged Carrington event, internet takedown, new internet, new financial system. Can't wait for that one. Bit of sarcasm going on there. 59 days ago, prediction made August 8th, 2022. Crazy events of Biden behaviour and failed policies is intentional. It's controlled collapse of Democratic Party. Now, yeah, I've seen these videos of Biden turning around and shaking hands with someone who isn't there, and, you know, his Alzheimer's and stuff. Yeah, really, really weird stuff. But again, knowing what I know that it's all stage, I know it's all smokescreen, I know it's all theatre. 2023, US will become energy independent, which follows after Biden's removal from office. Biden will be removed from office. New US leaders will usher in new religious, alt-right, ultra-conservatism in 2023. And what he was saying about this, on the face of it, it sounds great, but Jason's history, he was a Baptist Christian. And what he was saying last night in his video is those who believe in God believe that they can do absolutely anything that they wish, because there is no comeback, because God will forgive their sins. And I've always said this about religion, you know, you go to, and this is why I touched on, again, I'm going off on a bit of a tangent here, but this is why Anton LaVey actually started the Church of Satan, because he saw so much hypocrisy in Christianity, where people were actually being carnal and committing sin, and then going to church on a Sunday to repent their sins. So what Jason's saying is that if it goes completely leftist or rightist, I've always been really bad with my politics and my left and my right, but whichever way it goes, it's not going to be great, because it will take it completely to the furthest it can go and be completely tyrannical and religious. And again, watch his video, because he explains it much better than I do, as we know. If you got this far, thank you. The US and many other nations will focus on internalising nationalism, building own infrastructures and economies. And again, that's part of the 2030 event, is to nationalise and stop travel. You know, on the WEF website, under sustainability, they plan by 2029 to have just 3 airports in the UK. And again, I haven't looked too much into it, because I don't want to give it my energy. And if indeed what Jason's saying, the WF is over, will that mean that the Agenda 2030 agenda will be over? Who knows? We know that there's big things coming, but has the Agenda 2030 just been a bit of a smokescreen for everybody to get the nose into and to distract? Because we're learning that a lot of this is to distract from what's really going on. So going back to nationalism, they want to bring everything, they want to stop everything being global. And I guess, and again, I never got into the whole Brexit thing, because I've never really been into politics. I've never bloody voted, because I've always intrinsically known that you're not really voting for anybody, because it's already all planned and decided. They've just given us the illusion of choice. But Brexit, again, is that nationalising the UK to bring everything into the UK, so that we're creating our own energy. And is that a good thing? That I don't know. Time will tell. 2023, violence and war in the Middle East occurs as US remains aloof with its own affairs. 2023, new hostilities between Iran and Iran. I think it might mean Iraq there. 2023, several Muslim Middle East nations will prepare for war with Israel and engage. Bank chain collapses end of 22 or beginning of 2023. Gold and silver soars in New York and London exchanges. Standoff in Washington, D.C. at White House or Capitol building. An unexpected suicide broadcast on live TV. And I recognise that some of these are actually repeated. China engaged in a neighbouring armed conflict over an island or island chain. Possible use of nuclear submarine. China will win. In late 2022, media reports scientists claim Earth has received an extraterrestrial transmission staged event. Next Vice President of US will be an agent of the deep state. New conservative religious US leadership will file antitrust suits against big tech companies' use of courts to retaliate for liberal reign over media. A member of the British royal family will pass away or come up missing before Christmas. This second prediction of royal death was 37 days before the death of the Queen. Romania maintains peace through 2022 and 2023. Conservative Republicans give full rein to go all the way to the far right to mirror how the Liberals. So it's the far right. Summary: for half a century, Western powers have been at the economic forefront, led by the WEF, but Russia has again played a wild card and disrupted the Western power structure. Russia is in a strategic partnership with the powerful economies of India and China and the rising economies over other nations like Brazil. So we have unfolding a major shift in power to the east. This will significantly weaken the WEF, the United Nations, NATO, and all those puppets belonging to the WEF who still hold power in the West are about to find out they have no aces left to play. There will be a transitional period when the Western nations will enjoy a period of house cleaning, a return to nationalism. The US and other countries will enjoy improved economic conditions, but the deep state has yet another card to play, a false Carrington event 1 year from now. So I hope you managed to watch that to the end, or listen to it. Yeah, watch it to the end, listen to it, take notes. I will post the document in the comments below. Read it at will. Start following Jason. Subscribe to me, because I do break down his work, and I do do other little videos as well. These subscriptions are appreciated, as are the likes and the comments. And I hope you're finding value, and you find value in this, and let's see how everything unfolds. And let's just start getting our house in order and preparing, because, yeah, let's see what happens. I'll speak to you all soon, guys. Bye for now. Hi guys, a little bit of an add-on from the predictions video that I've just done. When I talk about getting our house in order, I mean our vibration, I mean our informed field, creating our own reality and not the reality that they want for us, not the perception that they are creating. And when I say that, I mean detach yourself from Wetiko, and I am going to do a video on Wetiko, and I'm going to read a passage from a book, because I see it so much and I've been guilty of it. And am I still guilty of it to a degree? Maybe a little bit, but I see it so much. People are just giving their energy to something, to create arguments, to create just discontent with the people, just basically being antagonistic, and that's not creating harmony with the people. We need to be thinking about uniting, because whilst we are all arguing, they're actually getting what they want: divide and conquer. You know, so going forward, regarding your informed field, creating the path that you want. And Jason's done a whole playlist on the informed field, and I need to get stuck into that more. But just stop paying attention to their propaganda and believing the whole Q thing, or whatever it may be, because it's all stage, it's all smoke and mirrors, it's all theatre. Speak to you soon, guys. Bye.